It was a Tuesday night. Nothing out of the ordinary. I had been working late, so by the time I got home, I was exhausted. My apartment was on the edge of town, a small, quiet place where I rarely saw my neighbors. It was the kind of neighborhood where people kept to themselves, and that suited me just fine. I didn't think much of locking the doors and windows every night. I lived on the third floor, after all. That night, I fell asleep almost immediately. Around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. You know that feeling when you're sure someone's watching you? I had that, only worse. I felt cold, a creeping chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw him. A man was sitting at the foot of my bed. He was completely still, just watching me. His face was pale and expressionless, his eyes dark and hollow. My heart raced, and I could barely breathe. I tried to convince myself I was dreaming, but it felt too real. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. We just stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. Then, without a word, he stood up and walked out of the room. I heard the front door click shut, and suddenly, I could move again. I leapt out of bed and ran to the door, locking it behind him. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. I called the police immediately. They arrived within minutes and searched the apartment, but there was no sign of him. No fingerprints, no forced entry, nothing. They said he must have gotten in through the fire escape, but that didn't explain how he had a key to my door. I had changed the locks just a week ago. The next morning, I found a note on my kitchen counter. In neat, precise handwriting, it said, "I'll be back." I felt sick to my stomach. I packed a bag and left that day, staying with a friend across town. For days, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of those empty eyes following me everywhere I went. A few weeks later, I moved out of the apartment and tried to put the whole thing behind me. But the memory still haunts me. Every time I hear a creak or a rustle in the night, I think of that man, sitting at the foot of my bed, watching me sleep. I still wonder how he got in. But more than that, I wonder why he chose me, and if, someday, he'll come back.